Is what we're supposed to do this morning, Rosenberg, Laura Stiles, is to take people's calls and ask them how they feel today? Because we did the same thing when Barack became president.
We can, and I feel
we
like
took
we
phone
should.
calls and people were joyous and happy and talking about hope and how this made them feel.
Yeah, I think we should. 800-223-9797. Let's do it.
Rosenberg, you're not okay.
No, that's fine.
You're not okay, though. I'm looking at your face.
I had a flashback.
You're not okay.
I went back to 2008. I was here. I was on the radio that night. People crying. People crying. Now listen, let's
people will be crying again.
Stop the music, Shawnee Cody.
Now let's be realistic about what's happening.
People are crying today.
That's very true.
So you're going to get the tears part.
But there were two layers to it. So like you cannot remove from the Obama presidency how important his win was, not because of what he would eventually do as president, but because of who he was and winning, right? You can't remove that we got a black family in the White House and what that meant besides everything else.
That's right.
And that can never get taken away, that happened. It was amazing. So that's where the tears came from that night. We liked him as a candidate. How much did we really know back then?
Not a lot.
We got to learn to know Obama over the last 8 years.
And focus on what we learned about Obama and his family, right? Class.
That's right.
Integrity.
Dignity,
right? Doing the right things for people, wanting to do the right things despite being blocked at every turn from the Republicans, right? Wanting to push the country in the right direction, not in a selfish direction, nothing was about him.
But I'll
And I want to say, and this is important because not everyone knows what to expect in a leader, okay? And I've had different leaders, whether they've people like Obama that I thought was an amazing leader, or sports coaches, or leaders of our organization here, right? I've had many different ones. And I will say, a leader's job, right, is to inspire, right? Not to make all the decisions, not to be a dictator, not to tell people what to do, but to make sure, this is my opinion, to make sure people that have stake, that are stakeholders in the organization or in our country, right, want to work hard so that we can be as great as we can be.
Right.
Right? That's the idea. That's what that chair really represents. It ain't about just his idea or it's about what is best for us all that keeps us fighting to be as great as we can.
But that's the scariest thing, because you think about what he said and what would make people passionate based on what he said, and what he said has been so negative that's such a scary thought. And now you have children who grew up for the first time, boys and girls grew up and looked at the White House and saw this family there, this beautiful black family in the White House. And also, you guys, we have a tendency to only think about the fact that little black boys and girls saw the Obamas in the White House. You know how amazing it is that little white boys and girls grew up and saw the Obamas in the White House?
Absolutely.
How amazing. And think about what they're going to now know is in the White House. This hateful man.
Yeah, what's scary is all the kids that are being born now, who this is what they have to deal with. Or the young kids that are, impressionable right now. Like, this is what they're
and aware.
Have to deal
with. My niece and nephew wept when Trump won. I mean, now granted, of course, that's because they're around us, so they have heard it.
And they see your pain.
And they see our pain, but they have also seen what he acts like. They can tell that he's a bully.
Well,
we elected a bully.
Frail,
basic bully.
And remember, no matter the racism thing, we don't have to talk about race. We don't have to talk about none of that. I'm going to say it again. Tone. How we feel, right? Because some people believe if you just put money in people's pockets, they'll feel better. Not everyone is motivated that way, right? Some people need camaraderie, family, right? They need hope. They need good energy, right? That's how you motivate people to want to stay involved. My biggest fear in this transition and where we're going is how people have been demotivated, right? And made to feel like we don't have hope. And because the hope part of America, whether it's a lie or a promotion or whatever, is the glue. When people have hope in this country, we all come together yes, we can.
On that exact tone, we're talking about tone, think about how bad it is that half the country wants to protest and say, this is not my president.
Yes.
That means that means if you worked here at Hot 97 and they say, we're having a meeting, we have new people. And by the way, we've had plenty of new people since I've been here. And they bring in new management, and the management gives the speech. And at the end of the speech, half the people who work for the company are like, nope, this isn't my company anymore. Hot 97 isn't what Hot 97 used to be.
And by the way, I've seen that.
And there are times when we go through times.
We're in a good time right now. I've seen bad times.
And so imagine if half are like, I don't even want to consider myself that anymore. How bad that would be. Like how bad an owner you'd have to be of a football team that half of the fan base said, I no longer root for them. I can't even root for this team. And I love them. Half the country's saying that. They're saying not my country. Now, I'm not doing that. I'm fighting doing that.
Oh, it's so crazy.
But people are saying not my country, not my president. That's horrible. That is a bad way to start.
And speaking of tone, what about the hate that it's inspired that we've been witnessing in the past couple months? All the hate crimes against women, all the discrimination against Muslims.
Yeah.
And it just started. It just started. People all of a sudden being brave enough to yell out racist crap all over the place.
And for those of you, and I've been dealing with this, for those of you who just say, give it a chance, you guys are preaching hate and division, you're being divisive, however you say it. Ignoring people's emotions is literally the worst thing you can do in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Right? As a country, as citizens of America, we're in a relationship together. And when you dismiss other people's feelings, that is not a path to having a better relationship.
No, not
even
at
in your
all.
personal life. Look, the relationship guru's coming up. He'll talk about it.
Think about it. Every time you hear about like a psycho killer or something, not like every time, but those people who go in and kill like 20 people, go look at the story. See how many of those people it starts with that they felt no one listened to them and no one wanted. It can turn people crazy.
Let's go, Rich in Connecticut. Rich, turn your radio down, sir. We're taking calls.
I got you. What's up?
How do you feel today? Because we're trying to capture the feeling, and there's so many mixed emotions. Some people don't know how to feel. They're trying to be optimistic, and they can't because what they know of Donald Trump doesn't seem promising. You have some people who are extremely happy because they know it's going to help their pocket. Like, where are you at, Rich?
I mean, I'm kind of conflicted because, at one, like, if it does help out the economy and our pocket, it's a good thing. But at the same time, like, there was one candidate that could have united the party, and it was Bernie Sanders.
That's right.
Like, he could have united Republicans and Democrats, I believe.
I don't know if that's true. I gotta tell you, I don't know if he would have united people. Bernie, I love Bernie. I voted for Bernie. He was too far. He was one notch too far economically to the left to bring everyone there.
To bring the Republican voters.
And he said things that people just didn't believe. I'm not saying that they weren't great ideals. They were. Free college for everyone, amazing. But when push came to shove of how are you going to do that, people didn't feel comfortable with his answers.
Sean in Oak Ridge, how do you feel today, sir?
Hey, you know what? I got to say, obviously it's a little nerve-wracking, but I'm excited. The country voted based on the past 8 years. They were sick of where we were going. And it's not Obama. It's all politicians from the past forever that it's been.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Heading in this direction that everybody's sick of. And maybe Trump wasn't the best option, but he's not a politician, and he's not tied into all these political agendas. At least it's somebody with a fresh point.
Sean.
Yes.
When people say, and I'm glad you called, and I thank you so much for listening. When people say where the country's going, where I see the country going is through a tough time of transitioning from old ways of industry and old ways of energy to new ways of industry and new ways of energy, which is very, very hard. And there's not a lot of money in it. It's, even in our business here in media, we're going through a transition from selling commercials on the radio to selling digital. And in that process, money gets lost, jobs get lost, so we can get to where the future is, right? When you talk about people are tired of where the country is going, where was that? Because that's not my experience.
Because, all right, so where the country, and I meant that, honestly, on a liberal offense. Like, where it was going with Hillary with Obama was Obamacare, which maybe it was the right idea, but it put the country in triple the debt it's ever been in.
Okay.
For the past 8 years. And and that's hurting the economy.
I need to see that backed up. I need to see that backed up.
Yeah, but let's not get caught up in the weeds.
Okay.
I mean, because and that's my point, Sean. Like with the Obamacare thing, if we're going to insure more people so that they are a less burden on society, it will take time for us to make those transitions.
Absolutely. But Hillary was going to go the same road, and that the country has spoken up. Even Democrats voted for Trump, some of them. And, they were just sick of it. They were sick of it.
I don't know.
There's a reason he won.
There's a reason he's won, but you're skipping over some other things, which is like.
And Rosenberg, what I'm trying to get to is not the debate over because we're here today.
No, but what I'm saying is, I know you, bro. I'm not trying to get into the debate on the weeds either, but I'm saying he's skipping some of the other main reasons they won, like
Hillary not going to Wisconsin, Michigan, and giving those people some attention,
and white men feeling
ignored
in this country. There was a lot of
Hillary
white men who felt
nuclear
ignored.
power in countries that are bad. You're missing a lot.
So did every president. Welcome to America. So did
Donald Trump hasn't.
Who put the Taliban in power? But Donald Trump also has made money and had business dealings with shade balls from all over the world.
You guys, Russia is part of the reason for Syria.
Part of.
And because a lot of countries participated in that, so let's not act like Trump is not.
And that's your man's best friend.
And let's not all. And that's why I don't want to get into that. I don't want to get into that. What I want to get into is what we as Americans is affecting us, and it's a reoccurring issue: is old industry versus new industry.
But he's not addressing that. He's saying he's going to bring jobs back. There's no jobs coming back. Those jobs ain't coming back. Jobs that are turning digital and people that are being replaced.
Yes.
We're not bringing back toll workers to replace Easy Pass. That's not what's going to happen. Things are going to get more technologically
automated.
More automated. So we need to be investing in people like the Obama administration did, pushing people in the direction of being prepared. Like you always talk about, programming, all these different things that make sense.
Coding for kids, yes.
That's where we're going.
And Sean, the reason and that's why I'm happy you called, Sean, because I do hear people like yourself who want change and they want it now. And then most of it is financial change. But I believe our country is just going through a tough transition, and we're not going to see it, even if we're in denial. We have to accept the fact that our old industries are dying, and we're transitioning to something new, and it's going to be a tough time. And any candidate that's not honest with the people about that is doing a disservice to America. And they don't want to be honest about that because there's 45, 50-year-old voters who literally will be told that the industry that you're in is going away. Yeah. And they don't want to lose that support. So they're not going to tell you that. They're going to lie to you about that.
I will tell you this, though. Thank you for your call,
Thanks,
man.
Sean.
It is, Sean, it is enjoyable. I do appreciate we live in a world where liberals like myself spend too much time talking about every Trump supporter without talking to someone like Sean who says, not the best candidate, but here's why I'm excited. Like, and listen, I disagree with you. I can't understand how Sean, who seemed like a reasonable guy, could overlook some of the scandals and things that he said. Of course, I don't understand that. But he did seem like a reasonable, moral person, and it's nice to have those conversations and not demonize every single... Listen, guys, no matter you look at it, 50% of America voted for Trump. Even if the election was rigged and the Russians were involved, they didn't rig 40 million votes, all right? A lot of those votes happened. So we can't demonize every single person. Today, we're going to see a lot of imagery of scary people down there in Washington, right? Like you said, we're going to see white sheets. We're going to see scary things down there. Don't be the people who then come away and believe that every single person who cast a vote for Donald Trump is wearing a white sheet, because I don't think that's the case.
But every person wearing a white sheet
definitely voted for Donald Trump.
All we say to America is be true to what you said on paper. If I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right. And so just as I say we aren't going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around, we aren't going to let any injunction turn us around. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now, because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. Like anybody, I would like to live a long life. Longevity has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And He's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Wake up! Had to play that Martin for y'all. That's the Martin they don't promote. That's the Martin that realized that this country, while it had promoted the possibilities and the hope, and people clamored from all over the world to come to America to chase a dream, an idea, that was a Martin that, as he said, he's been to the mountaintop, he's seen what's on the other side. But America wasn't gonna let him get there with his people. And by the way, Martin also said he would understand if this was China or one of these totalitarian dictatorship governments. But America, be true to what you said on the paper. Right. Keep your word. And I have a friend who's actually working in D.C. today who told me that the vibe down there is something he's never seen before.
How so?
He's worked in D.C. for inaugurations for Bush. I think he did Clinton and Obama twice. So he's seen a variation of inaugurations, right. I think, with that. Today he told me that he sees Confederate flags and people wearing white sheets for the inauguration today.
He said that he saw that legitimately.
That's what he says. And I said, being optimistic, maybe those are those protesters right. that we've seen mocking Donald Trump and mocking Trump fans. And he was like, nope. And he does intelligence, by the way. So he's not just one of us. He does intelligence for a living. He's like, nope, those are Trump supporters. And many of those types of people have gathered in D.C. today. To celebrate. And that was the danger that we talked about on this program for weeks on end. Not that we were on this show, and I'm speaking for myself, not that I was pro-Hillary, but I knew that Hillary would at least keep a tone. And you guys heard me talk about tone. I talked about tone, attitude, tone. So that we could continue to build to be a better country and be more progressive. What we're seeing today is the realization that many people who are fans of Trump only think of themselves and not how our country could come together, be better, and accept the fact that we are a diverse country, many different backgrounds, lifestyles, and spiritualities.
Well, as we said right afterwards, regardless of what you thought And I do think there was a very specific plan to get people of color to not be interested in Hillary Clinton as a candidate. And I think it worked. The very least, she would have put in this very diverse cabinet.
Right.
Right now, the cabinet that has been assembled by Donald Trump it's unlike anything we've ever seen.
It's all rich white people, mostly.
Unqualified.
And then there's that.
Unqualified, it's a joke. Yeah, it's the most uneducated ever.
So, I'll give you a couple. I'll break it down for you since you want to. I mean, today we're going to find out he's going to become president. Let's start with Steve Mnuchin, the Secretary of Treasury. Never served in government, no experience in setting any sort of economic policy. But he did lead Donald Trump's fundraising effort.
So he knows how to get that money.
Well, he did for Donald Trump. In other words, he worked for Donald Trump getting his money. So that's your Secretary of Treasury. How about the Secretary of Education?
Oh, we watched her the other day.
Oh, Betsy DeVos, yes.
Betsy DeVos is a billionaire Republican donor. She spent much of her adult life attempting to destroy public education. She's against public education. And then, of course, the other day we saw in her confirmation she didn't even know what she was talking about when it comes to basic policy concepts.
No.
And didn't she donate over $200 million to support Donald Trump? Or helped raise that amount. She gave her own money, so she bought this position.
She bought the job.
Never stepped into a public school, nothing. Was completely clueless.
Andrew Puzder, the Secretary of Labor. According to the Washington Post, if Trump had searched America to find the individual most hostile to the rights of workers, he could not have done much better than Puzder. The CEO of a fast food company, who will be responsible for safeguarding workers' rights, is an ardent opponent of minimum wage increases and laws mandating things like break time and overtime pay. His company has been repeatedly cited for wage theft. He's the head of labor.
Oh, wow.
Okay, hold on. Ben Carson, Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. Of course, you know Ben Carson, he ran for president. He has zero experience in housing policy.
And said so himself.
Zero. Let's see. Mike Mulvaney, director of the Office of Management and Budget, was just revealed to have employed a nanny without paying payroll taxes for her, to the tune of about $15,000.
I think we get the picture.
No, but hold on. You can't skip Rick Perry. Can't skip Rick Perry, who during
Isn't that the governor of Texas?
Yes, who during the election, when he was running for office, said that he would get rid of the Department of Energy. He is now running the Department of Energy, and admitted that when he got the position, he didn't know what it meant.
Wow.
He did not realize that it included being in control of the nukes. He didn't know that when he got the job. Now, to his credit, people are saying he's really been taking it very seriously, and he even now has thoughts and policies that totally differ from the Trump administration.
Come on, man. Give everyone a chance, man. Everyone deserves a chance.
Even people who wanted to banish the department that they're now leading?
Everyone. How dare you? These people may help keep jobs in America. What's the labor guy again? He gonna get you a job. He just ain't gonna pay you too good for it.
Andrew Puzder?
All right. They're going to help you go to school. They're just not going to fund public schools.
Right.
Got it.
Hope for our children. Great.
And all of these people, there's a common theme. Figure out ways to get money. And in America, that is the priority. Never forget that. You live in capitalist America. No matter what they sell you, and we've talked about this on this show, no matter what they sell you about the ideas, the end game, no matter who's in that chair, is to get money. The piece I always encourage people to vote for is the person whose path to getting the money is the most inclusive and progressive. That's what your vote. Everybody wants to get money. That's what this is about.
That's right.
But how you get there and how it's managed and how you feel and the tone is what keeps us hopeful. That's what, and I believe that this president and what we'll see for the next 4 years won't be about inclusion.
Oh, really? Hot take.
It won't be about upliftment and your rights as a woman or a minority.
Ebro, that personally offends me that you even said that. Do you not remember this moment at all?
Look at my African American over here. Look at him.
He was excited.